Hi, everyone. Rich Hall again. I'm a business coach serving small to medium-sized businesses. I'm joined today by Melanie French of French Sales Solutions. Melanie is a fractional sales leader serving clients nationwide. She has a very strong leadership background from sales to operations and coaching, having been the VP of sales of a $200 million company. So welcome today, Melanie.
Thank you, Rich. Really glad to be here and excited to have this conversation.
Okay, so let's get down to it. You're an expert in helping companies build out a more professional sales organization, right? Tell our listeners a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, that's right. So my background was in the corporate world, and my biggest accomplishment was creating a sales infrastructure in that organization that ultimately allowed that company to expand and diversify their customer base to the tune of more than $50 million. And really this boiled down to me building out a team that removed me from the process and allowed me to work on the sales function of the business and not in it. So building out a team, process, and infrastructure, and hiring more than 100 reps into various sales roles, and developing all the hiring, training, comp plans, KPIs along the way to make all of that function. And so since leaving the corporate world, I've been working with founders and businesses with the very same type of work, helping them build a sales machine that helps get them out of the weeds in terms of the sales portion of the business and back into what they want to be doing, which is building the business in more of a CEO type role.
Okay, great. So here's a scenario I hear a lot today. You've got the founder of a privately held business that has probably been instrumental in building the company, building out the sales organization, and probably running the sales organization for years themselves. They want to do, like you talked about, they want to get out of, say, the hands-on day-to-day, be more of a what I'd call a pure CEO type role, and develop a sales organization that can run effectively without them being involved every single day. Walk us through that. How could you help that founder?
Yeah. I mean, the simple yet complex answer here is that they need to have a team that has the ability to execute. And so I really look at this in terms of several pillars that make that possible. And the first three are really having a clear sales strategy, having a simple sales process, and then having a simple technology stack that supports all of that.
Okay, so if you don't mind, let me stop you there for a second. So in your mind, what does it mean to have a simple sales process? Because we've heard nightmares of complex processes and things that the process maybe doesn't even get adopted by some of the companies. So what do you consider a simple sales process?
Yeah, so ultimately, they really need to have documented and defined what the steps are from when something becomes a lead, turns into an opportunity, and ultimately a customer. And then a customer retention and upsell process. Those are the two core pieces of a simple process, but that's got to be documented and defined as to what that means in that particular organization. And so having clarity and simplicity on those things is really what's going to allow someone else to take what the founder has built and actually execute against it.
Okay, so carrying that a little bit further, I know you mentioned about a technology stack.
Yep.
Does that also include a CRM? And if so, what's your recommendations on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, it does include some sort of CRM system. There's a lot of different systems out there. And the one thing that I would say and caution folks on is the right one is really dependent on your processes and how you want it to help you. So the question I really ask is, do you know what your process is and what you want any sort of technology to do for you? If you don't know what you want it to do, AKA you don't have your defined steps or you don't have your customer retention and upsell processes defined, it's going to be difficult to pick the right solution, because while there's probably, I don't know, hundreds of different CRM options out there, and many of them have very similar core components. They do contact management, they have pipelines, they can do a lot of different things, might have some automation features. But there are some that are really good for specific uses. I'm a big fan of automation in terms of sales process automation, automating the tasks and having the system dictate what happens next or prompting that so that everyone has it's really simple for people to stay on track. Not every system has the ability to have the flexibility and functionality to do that. And so I think I have some that I like and I think are really great tools, but there's not a one size fits all either. But the core is don't go out and buy a CRM or other technology solution thinking it's going to fix your sales process problem, because it doesn't actually create the process for you. You have to tell it what to do in order for it to be a functional thing for you. So many business owners will go out and drop way too much money on lots of bells and whistles, but have trouble implementing because they don't actually have internal systems and processes that are repeatable, because they're not written down and not everybody executes the same way. And so having that taken care of before you buy any sort of technology solution is really something I firmly believe in and feel is key in any sort of development process related to, a sales process.
I tell you, I love it because I've personally worked with companies and I've run sales departments and sales organizations. One of the hardest things to do is to get salespeople to actually use a CRM. And part of the reason is most companies make it overly complex, right? To the point that salespeople are like, wait, you hired me to sell, not be an administrator updating a lot of complex information that in my mind really doesn't matter. So I love your approach. All right, so let me ask you this. So French Sales Solutions comes in, they've worked with the customer, they've worked with the owner, the founder, to start building a professional organization. Tell me, once you're done or you've completed your project with them, what does success look like? What can the founder expect with your help?
Yeah, great question. So I think a couple of points there. I think the core piece is that the founder is really going to have confidence in the ability to move the business forward into the future. So this is laying a foundation to say, we're here, we want to go there. We're missing some of these core fundamental pieces that are going to allow us to scale and grow. And you really just want out of the weeds too. So you're going to have confidence in your ability to feel like you have a platform from which to stand on and move forward in the business. And I think that ties into being a bit more proactive. I find that there's a lot of reactivity going on in most of the founder-led sales organizations that I've been a part of. And so I really want to shift into that more proactive mindset. And that's really what allows, the business long-term to create success on the sales front. And so you're driving the ship versus the ship driving you, right? Or however you want to refer to it. And then on top of that, you have a strategy that is dictating the structure of your organization. So often I see that the organization structure or strategy is dictated by their current structure, which is a lot of times not the right thing for the future. It just is the way things are and how it's evolved up to this point. But in order to get beyond where they're at today, having that strategy that's dictating, like, these are the roles and responsibilities that we need, these are the things that need to be happening, that's really what's going to help drive that success. So, business owners are going to, feel refreshed and amazed that they've got freedom and control and independence around what they're doing in their business and still seeing success with the business in the way that they want.
See, I love it because the thing it also provides is scalability and the opportunity to grow and continue growing beyond just what the founder has built up to that point. So, hey, Melanie, fantastic job. Thank you again for joining us. I think all of our listeners can tell you know exactly what you're doing. You're great for founder-led organizations. And Melanie's contact information will be at the end of the video. Feel free to reach out. A copy of the video will be on the blog as well. So Melanie, again, thank you very much for your time and looking forward to round 2.
Thank you, Rich.